Into our Wednesday edition of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Welcome into the show. We are live this morning from the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., they can take care of all of your vehicle needs here at the Bill Penny Service Department. And don't forget, come on in. And while you're here, just kind of go up to the showroom, take a look at all the fine new Toyotas, test drive one of those for a chance to win $5,000. That is the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department and Bill Penny Toyota. So what do we got on the docket today? Well, the college football playoff rankings, the newest additions came out. Yesterday when we were talking about the polls, we told you don't expect too much change because there was not any change last week as far as wins and losses go. Yes, Alabama did get the win over New Mexico State. You look at the rest of the poll behind Alabama, Oregon won, Ohio State won, Cincinnati won, Michigan State. They all win. There was no need to change the top 7 in the poll. That's what we talked about yesterday. We'll go over that poll just a little bit. Dabo Swinney speaks out on his football team not being ranked inside the top 25. It's kind of humorous. We'll go over some of all of that as well. But we do start, again, we start with the college football playoff rankings. There were no surprises. Georgia is number 1, Alabama number 2, Oregon number 3, Ohio State 4, Cincinnati 5, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7. Those are your top 7 in the poll. Now, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, Baylor, Ole Miss, they all moved up because Oklahoma lost. But none of those teams, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, Baylor, Ole Miss, they're going to end up inside the top 4. So really it doesn't matter. It's good for them to move up because it does help others along the way. Now, Texas A&M comes in at number 16. Arkansas checks in at number 21. Mississippi State checks in at number 25. But there is one team that did make it inside the top 25 that could help Cincinnati down the road. And that is number 24, Houston. Houston checks in at number 24. The first time Dana Holgerson's group has checked in to the top 25. They are 9-1 on the season. And that is important because if Houston and Cincinnati meet in the AAC championship game, that would give Cincinnati, another top 25 potential win. Now, what's helping them is Notre Dame is ranked number 8 right now. That is keeping Cincinnati afloat. That is the only thing keeping Cincinnati afloat. If they do beat Houston is number 24. That would give Cincinnati 2 top 25 wins if somehow Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, one of those 3 would slip up along the way to give Cincinnati a chance. But they would have to beat Houston in order for that to happen. That would give them 2 top 25 wins this year.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll lose to Houston and end this charade. That's at least what I'm hoping. And just get rid of them, trapdoor them, and they can go to some Big Six bowl or whatever and get smashed and end up with 2 losses, and then everybody can stop whining and moaning and groaning. Because I've already, I was hearing it last night that there's people that think Alabama, if they play a close game against Georgia, should they beat Arkansas and Auburn,
right?
That they would still get in with 2 losses over an unbeaten Cincinnati, and I disagree with that. I don't think it'll happen. No. I think if Cincinnati's undefeated, that they'll get into the playoff with a bunch of 2-loss teams because there'd be too much hell raising over it.
A 2-loss Alabama team, in my mind, wouldn't deserve to be
I don't think 4. Anybody with 2 losses deserves to be in there. And, I'm talking about the Ohio States, and the Oregons. Because I will say this. We haven't talked about them in weeks because they started so poorly. But I don't think that it's beyond the realm of possibility that Wisconsin could end up winning the Big Ten championship. They have the number one defense in America. Everybody's talking about the Steel Curtain and it being the greatest of all time and Georgia printing T-shirts and all this stuff. But if you look at the stats, Wisconsin's defense is even better than Georgia's. And so now, is Wisconsin's offense good enough to beat somebody like Ohio State? That's the great question. But I'm just saying, what if chaos happened and all these, Power 5 leagues were producing 2-loss teams? Right. And I'm prefacing that on Georgia, being undefeated and being the one. Okay, and so, but if all these other Power 5 leagues produce 2-loss teams, now if everybody's got 2 losses now, I'm talking about every league, then you could see a couple maybe get in, and I still think Cincinnati would be one of the 4. They would be 2 unbeatens and maybe a couple of 2-loss teams. But again, I don't think it'll happen that way. It usually doesn't.
Right.
There's not usually total chaos. So I still think if you're Oregon, you know what's in front of you. And if you're Ohio State, you know what's in front of you. Because Ohio State's got 2 tough games coming up.
Ohio State has a big one this weekend against Michigan State.
And then they've still got to play Michigan.
Yes.
So we know that. And then they've still got to play the Big Ten championship game against more than likely Wisconsin. So they have got some tough games. Now, if they win all those games, they're in. Okay?
Well, no doubt, yes.
And so that's what I'm –
if Oregon – let's say Oregon wins out, Ohio State wins out.
Yeah, they're in.
Oregon not about being in, but Oregon has been ahead of Ohio State this whole entire time.
They still need to be, and if they're not, that's pathetic.
Even with Ohio State's tough games down the stretch.
I don't care. I still think if you get down to it and both of them have 1 loss.
Right.
1.
Right.
And said team beat other team, I don't care when it was, on their home field, then Oregon should be the 2. And besides, I know you'll say, well, you just said it doesn't matter, so who cares who's the 2 and the 3? It shouldn't matter because, again, you're going to play each other.
Right.
But the tiebreaker should be head-to-head. It makes all the sense in the world. And I know what people are going to say. Well, the Pac-12 isn't as good as the Big Ten. And I understand that, okay? But if Oregon – and Oregon's got a tough game this weekend. They got Utah.
They do. There's 3 top 25 versus top 25 matchups in college football this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's top-ranked Alabama hosting 21st-ranked Arkansas.
Right.
It's Ohio State hosting Michigan State. And Oregon has to go on the road this weekend. I believe they're on the road. Yes, they are. They're on the road at 23rd-ranked Utah.
Yeah, and Utah started slow too. I think they lost 2 of their first 3 games, and now they're playing much better under Kyle Whittingham. So that's not going to be an easy game. Matter of fact, Scott, wasn't it just 2 or 3 years ago that Oregon had everything in front of them that if they won out, they were going to go to the playoff, and Utah smoked them? Or no, was that the other way around? It may have been the other way around that Utah
had
everything. Yeah. You're right. Utah had everything in front of them, and Utah got smashed. So I'm just saying, but that's not going to be an easy game. So that's where the chaos could start. If all these, you end up with all these 2-loss teams. But again, and that's what Cincinnati wants, though, because I still think if you got all these 2-loss teams and Cincinnati – and what did we say yesterday? Notre Dame continuing to win. And then Notre Dame could become a dark horse to potentially get in because their only loss would be to unbeaten Cincinnati.
Is the Big 12 out of this?
Yes, I'm not even bringing them up. Oklahoma's done, and they'll probably get rid of Oklahoma State when they beat the Cowboys. And then that'll be it. And there won't be any more conversations about Big 12 teams. So.
All right, 256-576-4977, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We want to hear from you on a Wednesday morning as we come to you live from Bill Penny Toyota. And coming up on Saturday, obviously, we talked about the 3 top 25 matchups. One of those is inside Bryant-Denny Stadium as I should say second-ranked Alabama plays host to 21st-ranked Arkansas. Here's Nick Saban on his team about playing better at times.
Well, I think we've played better in the last couple games. There's been times that we've played better. I think the big thing we've done is, we've had some inconsistencies that have cost us, and we've given up big plays because of making mental errors, and that's the thing that we continually try to work to eliminate. I think the players are very conscious of it. I think they're working hard to do it, and I think when everybody is on the same page and does their job, we've been pretty effective, and that's got to be the goal for every play in the game, one play at a time. And we can't have any my bads. I messed up and didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I think as the season wears on, hopefully you can get a little more consistent that way.
We're going to break down what Nick Saban had to say there in just a second, but it is Wednesday.
That's
and
right.
That can only mean one and one thing only. That means safe travels on your work into school, and into school means it is time for our fourth grader prognosticator, the one, the only, the man that has the plan for your betting game. That is our good buddy Grady the Greek on his way to school this morning. Joins us each and every Wednesday. Good morning, Grady.
Good morning.
Morning, Grady. Were you still contemplating your pick?
No, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Just
It
a
is
little later today.
Alabama and Arkansas this weekend inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Second-ranked Alabama, 21st-ranked Arkansas. Grady, what do you say?
Last week was great. This week we've got the Hogs before the Iron Bowl. Alabama 34, Arkansas 20, MVP Bryce Young.
34-20. Are you going to pick two games or just one, Grady?
Just one.
All right.
one this
Alabama 34, Arkansas 20. It's a close game, a two-score game.
Yep.
Inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Bryce Young, Grady the Greek's MVP for the Saturday. All right, Grady, who are we going to give that shout-out to today?
My buddy Freddie, because his birthday is coming up.
Nice.
How old is he going to be? Do we know?
10.
10.
Okay.
Grady even
Oh,
knows
that's
the
a
number.
magic number.
That's
Grady,
a number.
have you hit 10 yet?
I will in January.
10 o'clock,
man.
10 years old in January, no doubt.
We got to
He's
have
turning
a
Mac Jones in
celebration for
January.
that. What day?
Yeah, we need to give him a Mac Jones jersey.
What day on January, Grady?
The 4th.
January
Oh, man.
the 4th. Wow. Just right after New Year's.
We got to make sure we celebrate that day.
Yeah, we do. We need to.
All right, Grady. Well, anything new going on at school that we want to talk about?
No, sir.
Everything good?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now, are we going to see, are you going to make your celebratory appearance at UAH basketball this weekend?
No.
Nope. All right.
Oh, man.
All right, Grady. Well, you have a great day at school. Enjoy this Wednesday, and don't be too hard on the kids in flag football during recess.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Grady. Have a good one. Grady
calling in 34-20.
Grady the Greek
MVP Bryce
joining
Young.
us, yes, on the Neighbors Wealth Management.
So he's got
hotline.
Arkansas taking the points.
34-20,
Yeah.
and you just heard from Grady on the pick. And
Right.
before Grady, we heard from Nick Saban talking about this team has been playing better at times. Drew, we're just 2 games left in the regular season. This is where you should be building. You should be peaking towards playing that best football of the season. Inconsistencies probably should be going away from good teams. This is where good teams separate themselves. Alabama's doing that, but are they doing that at the level that we want to see them, or are there still areas where they need to be more consistent at?
Well, I mean, certainly Alabama's still got to be more consistent. I mean, I think they've taken steps forward defensively and gotten better, but you don't want to take any steps back. You want to continue to improve. The run defense has actually been pretty solid all year, except for a quarter or two against Texas A&M. They had a little bit of trouble against Florida as well, but in the second half of that game, but found a way late to make stops. But The secondary, has gotten better as well. They have not given up the big plays, though. I mean, there were still some guys open against New Mexico State, but due to the pass rush and getting pressure on the quarterback, they weren't able to make those throws. So, but again, I do think defensively they're on the right track. The special teams has been pretty consistent. One thing that they've done pretty well this year, and I don't think it's been talked about enough. Alabama has become a pretty good punt blocking team.
Yeah,
they had one last week again. Christian Leary got one that was recovered by
Texas A&M.
Jalen Moody. So they've been able to do some things in the special teams. Now they did have the issue in the LSU game with a couple of snaps that cost Will Reichert 4 points and could have cost Alabama the ball game because that was an extra point. The only one Reichert's missed in his career because of a low snap and a shaky hold. And then they had a snap issue on a 49-yard field goal, which ended up hitting the crossbar. So, but for the most part, though, I would say special teams has been pretty good. JoJo Earl, before the injury, had given the punt return unit a little bit of juice. But last week, Slade Bolden had a 24-yard punt return. So punt return's been solid. Kickoff return was great early, but now they will not kick it to Jamison Williams because he's been very explosive. So, and then offensively, you still got to wonder about, up front being able to get movement consistently. That's where they got to, continue to try to improve even in the latter third of the year. And we don't know what the O-line is going to even look like against Arkansas because we have a strong suspicion and hunch that Darian Dalcourt will be back at the center position. But we don't know about Javian Cohen. He had that, the procedure on his wrist to try to get him back. We don't know if he'll be back in the lineup yet. Could that be Tommy Brown at left guard? And then, of course, are they going to put Chris Owens back at right tackle, or is it going to be Damian George going forward? So the offensive line down the stretch, Scott, is probably the biggest question for me, along with the tight end position. Are they going to be able to make plays consistently? It has not been good the second half of the year. Jaleel Billingsley has been a non-factor. Cameron Latou got a touchdown pass last.
Is that a big surprise to you?
Well, yes, because he's very talented. I thought he'd be a big part of this offense going forward after the way he played last season, and he ended last season. But we figured out quickly that he'd not been doing the little things right on and off the field. He was, in the doghouse from the start of fall camp. He seemed to be working his way out of it and was very productive against Southern Mississippi and Ole Miss to a degree. But then the Texas A&M game happened, and really he has been a non-factor ever since. He and Cam Latou had touchdown catches last week, but, of course, Jaleel Billingsley dropped a touchdown. And so the play before. So we'll see. That's been my biggest disappointment in this offense, to be honest. Watching them develop from the spring through the fall, seeing, you hear scrimmage buzz, all that kind of stuff. You kind of felt like the 12 personnel and the two tight ends were going to be a huge part of it. And then they started the season, and Cam Latou was great. You started seeing a little bit of Billingsley, like I said, by the third or fourth game.
Right.
But then, after A&M and the drops, and then Latou still had issues with that. So they need
that's
these.
Not on Bill O'Brien.
No, that's not.
That's what
I've said. That's what's kind of irritated me about the whole thing. Well, Bill O'Brien should have called this play. He should have called that play. If you need a sack, it's not good. Okay, you got to catch the football.
Yes.
You've got to execute. You got to run the route right. I mean, so I don't think he's beyond criticism. Nick Saban even mentioned that last week. Everybody's, it's when you're highly paid and you're put in that public eye, you're going to get criticized. But I just think overall too, sometimes it's on the players. They've got to execute.
All right, let's get our first break in, because when we come back, we're going to continue a lot of this conversation that we've had going on this morning. It has been off to a great show. Jake Crane will join us on the other side. We got to get his thoughts. It's been a while since we've caught up to Jake, and we got to get his thoughts on Auburn and the collapse against Mississippi State last week, and Alabama, the college football playoff rankings. He'll join us as well. But remember, as we go to break, our fourth grader prognosticator, Grady the Greek, has said and spoken, Alabama 34, Arkansas 20. Bryce Young, your MVP.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck westbound on 565 west of Greenbrier. Got an overturned vehicle, injury and confirmed entrapment there. They're going to leave the number 1 and number 2 westbound lanes open. Number 3 is definitely closed. It's going to be that way for a while. Everything else looks pretty good this morning. You be careful. Hopefully we can keep it that way. The Black Friday pre-sale is coming. Save now and lose your weight in January. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Championships are won right here.
And that is it. The final score, Bama 52, Ohio State 24. Alabama does it. 10 regular season SEC wins. An SEC championship, a Rose Bowl championship, and national championship number 18. 13-0. Absolute perfection.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Maybe the air doesn't blow like it should, or it's needing new tires, or you're just ready for something newer. It's time to move up, time to trade up. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and it's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your current car or truck is worth more than you know. In fact, we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't trade. We have nearly 100 Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned models to choose from. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. They've passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians, come with a 24-hour roadside assistance, plus a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. It's the perfect time to trade in and trade up because your vehicle is worth more right now at Woody Anderson Ford. Corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough we can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440. Hey Wes, we show up.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
And indeed, welcome back to Talkin Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you until 9 a.m. here at the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. Hope all is well with everyone this morning. Our fourth grader prognosticator, Grady the Greek, in the first segment, 34-20. He picks Alabama over Arkansas with Bryce Young, your MVP. Again, that's our fourth grader prognosticator. And obviously a lot going on in the world of college football. Who will become LSU's next head coach? That has been a topic of discussion simply because Jimbo Fisher, I don't know whether you want to say emphatically shut it down. I don't know. Agree to disagree on that one. He talked about it yesterday, but our next guest, Drew, probably has a lot of thoughts on the college football playoffs as well as who's going to be coaches, because it seems like every day we lose another college football coach at another school.
Yeah, and it was a big topic on the J-Boy show yesterday, why coaches are fired early, the coaching carousel. It's one of the fastest rising shows in the country, and really your number one source for college football conversation. It's part of The Volume Sports, and, of course, the Colin Cowherd Network. And, of course, it's the J-Boy Show. And we've been with him before he reached these heights, and he's been great to us, and we're really proud of what he's doing. And we're proud that he's taken a few minutes to rejoin us on Talkin Ball here in the Rocket City of Huntsville, and that's Jake Crane. Jake, you're back with Drew and Scott. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. I appreciate y'all having me. I appreciate the intro. And, it's been very interesting since, the signing period's really in December now, how that affected the timeline of hirings and firings.
Yeah, is that why we're seeing these firings right now mid-season? So, because we saw our guy from USC, Clay Helton, get fired from USC.
And already rehired.
Yeah, so he could get into the recruiting trail. Is that why we're seeing this, because of this early signing period in December?
Yeah, I think it's a big marker. I think that's why, you're seeing guys, Justin Fuente, being let go early, and, the days of being able to, wait till the regular season's over because signing day isn't till February, and it used to be all the big visits happened around, right in January, going into February. Now, so many kids want to early enroll. So many kids want to get the signing day out of the way that they're signing in December. So whenever that timeline moves up, you got to move up the firing timeline. And, it's funny to me because there's two different kind of forces working in one. Yes, you have to move it up because of the timeline. But number two, most of the places that are having vacancies, whether it's LSU, looks like it's going to be Florida. You look at USC, kind of go around the room. You look at Washington. You want to make big splash hires and guys that are in the Power Five. Well, it's really hard to get somebody that you're targeting that's obviously having success to be able to leave, week 11 or week 12 to come over to your team. It's funny to me trying to watch how ADs are balancing that, how athletic departments are balancing that as well. But yeah, I mean, it always comes down to three things when you're building the program: recruiting, culture, and development. And you can't have culture and development if you don't recruit. So it tends to always kind of fall off how that domino falls.
And are there any dominoes that have fallen so far that have surprised you at all?
Obviously the Jimmy Lake situation at Washington, and we can't put all firing into like two separate pots. I mean, every circumstance is different. When you start grouping it together like that, you tend to miss the mark. Virginia Tech, I was surprised that they didn't let Fuente go earlier than what they did, that they let it go this long. He was on the hot seat coming in. They didn't have a ton of success early. I'm really not shocked by any of them. What I'm interested to see is how many more we have over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. I know it's been a topic on the J-Boy Show in the recent days. How much trouble is Dan Mullen in your mind?
Oh, I mean, he's in. It's kind of like when you're a kid. It's one thing when you get in trouble and your parents are mad at you. It's another one when they just tell you they're disappointed. And it feels like everybody at Florida's just basically told Dan Mullen, listen, we're not even mad anymore. We're just disappointed and don't think you can do it. But you look, I mean, again, offense has never been the problem at Florida. But defensively and from a complimentary football standpoint, it looked like they just didn't care against Stanford. And then you go and celebrate in the locker room like you just won the East. And you look at the trajectory that Georgia's on. Hell, Drew, you look at the trajectory that Tennessee's on. And if I'm a Florida fan, I'm looking at what's going on at Florida. And you either sometimes you got to cut the arm off before the disease spreads.
Very well put.
So obviously there could be an opening in Florida. And we were talking about it. Okay, so who would, let's say potentially Florida does come open. Obviously LSU right now is the high-profile SEC job. Would you rather have an LSU job or a Florida job in the SEC?
I'd rather have LSU because I don't have to deal with any, in-state school. I know Miami's down and Florida State's down a little bit, but, at the end of the day, those schools can get up really quick. I mean, Miami looks at, there's some rumblings about Hugh Freeze right now, even though I think Virginia Tech's really going to make a run at him while he's over there at Liberty right down the street. But, the LSU job, you look at how talented the state of Louisiana is. Those kids always want to stay home. The last 3 head coaches have won a national championship at LSU. Death Valley is one of the most intimidating environments and toughest places to play in the country. So to me, you can give me LSU, but Florida's not far behind.
And Jake, to piggyback off of that too, I know this was a topic on the J-Boy Show, and you had a very interesting thought on it. But what about all this now buzz about Lincoln Riley potentially maybe being the guy? Everybody's talked about Jimbo Fisher, but he's got A&M rolling. They may sign the #1 recruiting class in the country. We heard what Jimbo said earlier this week, even though he has no buyout. But what about this Lincoln Riley to LSU? Give your thoughts.
Well, man, I think he'd be a really good fit. I think Lincoln is a guy, and people say, oh, well, why would he leave Oklahoma to go to LSU when Oklahoma's coming in the SEC? Well, I think Oklahoma's in for a rude awakening when they get into the SEC, and trying to recruit the state of Oklahoma the same way you want to recruit the state of LSU and trying to get the same results isn't going to work. I think LSU's just in a better place than Oklahoma is, and there's going to be some, an adjustment period, let's just say, for Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC. But Lincoln Riley, to me, he's the mix of the CEO and the schematical guy that LSU needs. He's not going to go out there and make any waves that, outside of, stuff on the field and how the team's playing. He's kind of that father figure as well. He's a head coach that loves to be involved in recruiting. And I think he's a guy that could skyrocket if he chose to go to LSU. And I've heard numbers like 12 a year, 12 and a half a year. And I know Oklahoma has money, but will they match that? And if not, I think there's a good chance Lincoln can end up at LSU. And remember, guys, Lincoln's been in the playoff 4 times. And all 4 times he's lost to an SEC team, including LSU in 2019 with Joe Burrow and the rest of the Globetrotters they had on offense.
So did Jimbo Fisher shut the door then on being a candidate for LSU the other day with his comments?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, Jimbo's a country boy, too. I mean, and they've given him more ranches than a Hidden Valley warehouse out there. So I don't expect him leaving anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a great point. He seems to really like the environment down there, the athletic director, Ross Bjork, and all the people at A&M, even though Scott Woodward did hire him. And Jake, also with this Florida job, I've heard speculation that Lane Kiffin has had his antenna raised, because it seems to me that he's not long for Ole Miss, and that he's trying to find a program where I think he understands that it's going to be hard to win a championship with the Rebels. He certainly had done a great job there. They got a chance to finish second in the SEC West. They're still not completely out of potentially winning the division, because Alabama has to get past the Arkansas Razorbacks and Auburn Tigers. But what would you think about a fit like Lane Kiffin to Florida?
Man, I feel like it's like when you buy like one of those 10,000 piece puzzles, and you can't find the last piece for a week, but then you find it and it's the right one, and it finishes the puzzle. Man, I just think Lane Kiffin would be that perfect of a fit at Florida. Because when I think of Florida, what do you think about? Offense. You think about offense, and with the way that Lane handles himself on social media, he's kind of part of that new wave. He would make Florida fun again. And look, the thing is, Florida offensively with Dan Mullen, offense isn't the problem. It wouldn't be the problem with Lane, but I think you get more excitement. I think the recruiting would be better. I think kind of the stigma. Who would ever thought that bringing in Lane Kiffin would improve the stigma of your program from an outside perception? But no, I do. I think it'd be a perfect fit, Drew.
Yeah, and
well, let's look at the playoffs ahead right now. We had the Week 3 edition of the rankings last night. No surprises in the top seven. But Houston making it in the top 25 is only positive for Cincinnati. If they are able to run the table and beat Houston in the playoffs, do they have a shot to get into the top 4?
Oh, man, I hope not.
I knew Jake was not a Cincinnati guy.
Yeah, no, I don't think they make it past this weekend undefeated. I think SMU is going to beat them. Look, Cincinnati, and it's a great story. It's been a great story all year, but you know what else is a great story? Hansel and Gretel, Lord of the Rings, the Snuffleupagus. I don't know. Those are all great stories, but just because it's a great story doesn't mean they should be in the playoffs. You look at the way Cincinnati's playing, they struggle with the bad Navy team. They struggle with the Tulsa team at home when College Game Day goes up there just trying to beg everybody in America to believe in Cincinnati. But if you watch the games, how can you look at that team and say that, yep, put them in there with Bama and Georgia and Ohio State? You can't do it. They're going to get slaughtered. I mean, we haven't been catfished this bad since Manti Te'o's girlfriend disappeared before the playoffs. I mean, at some point you got to call a spade a spade. Now, if they go undefeated, would they have a chance of getting in? Yes. Would the media narrative probably want to put them in? Yes. But would it be a waste of our time? Of course. I just don't believe in Cincinnati. I think Tanner Mordecai and SMU beat them this weekend, and then I don't have to hear about it anymore, even though that was a good question.
Yeah, I mean, and then that'll clear up the picture even more, even though we know right now basically Oregon and Ohio State control their own destiny. Then it would just be, what happens with Alabama and Georgia if they do eventually meet in Atlanta, which is what everybody's been anticipating. But the Tide has to take care of Arkansas. Just some quick thoughts before we wrap it up with you. Your thoughts on that Alabama-Arkansas matchup, and then also on the other side of the state with Auburn and this injury situation, Brian Harson's season has taken a dramatic turn after the blown opportunity against Mississippi State.
Yeah, what a terrible loss for Auburn. I'll just start with the second question and work my way back. Just a terrible loss. And look, Derek Mason, every time he's played a team that doesn't run a traditional offense, he hasn't been able to adjust. I don't know if it's incompetence, which I don't think it is because he's been around football a long time, or it's just stubbornness and willing not to change or adjust when they're pulling your pants down on national TV on ESPN in the middle of the day. And both of those results are equally horrifying. I don't know if Derek Mason survives the season if Auburn doesn't play well on defense against South Carolina and Alabama. The dude's been bad the whole year. This 3-down umbrella coverage stuff that he's trying to run like this is Stanford needs to stop. If he wants to do that, he needs to go back to the West Coast or go to Bishop Sycamore or something and just hand out donuts or whatever goes on up there. But you look at Alabama and Arkansas, it's going to be a really physical game. I'm interested to see Arkansas's offensive line versus Alabama's defensive line, particularly the inside linebackers. I just think Alabama will get up enough points where Arkansas won't be able to catch them.
Wow.
Very interesting. Some great, strong thoughts from Jake Crane. Well, Jake, man, we appreciate the thoughts. No question about it. Always great stuff. Let everybody know how to follow the J-Boy Show and what you got coming up later this afternoon from the College Football Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, got a big show today. Got Bo Nix coming on after surgery. Going to talk about that, and him, being a leader with T.J. Finley now that he's not able to play and kind of playing that role. We're going to talk to Jamari Sawyer from Georgia, Jalen Wademeyer from Texas A&M as well, and we're talking everything SEC and college football. So check us out. We're live 2 to 3 Central. Just go to YouTube, type in The Volume, and you'll find us. We're also on the Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify as well, and I appreciate it as always, guys.
Thanks, Jake. We appreciate the thoughts.
Holler.
All right. Jake Crane there saying we haven't been catfished since Manti-Te'o's girlfriend.
Before they got flattened by Alabama in the national championship game. But I will say this. I tend to agree with him. I would not be shocked if Sonny Dykes and SMU take out Cincinnati and just end the charade.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati will be done, and then all the conversation is going to be about Power 5 schools and which 4 are going to get there. I mean, now, I will say, if Cincinnati can beat SMU, that would be another feather in their cap because SMU is a good football team. And if they can, as you said, beat Houston. But I got a funny feeling they're not going to make it undefeated to the end. I'm like Jake, and then we won't have to deal with this. And then the conversation will center around, is there going to be a 2-loss team in there and not the gritting of the teeth if Cincinnati's undefeated. Because if Cincinnati loses one game, it's just like when Oklahoma lost last week to Baylor. Pretty much ends it to me. There's probably a slight chance if Cincinnati loses that, I did write off the Big 12 earlier, but Oklahoma would probably have to run the table and be impressive, or Oklahoma State. That's probably their only 2 hopes.
Yeah.
But I got a funny feeling probably neither one of them is going to make it to the end with just one loss.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we're going to wrap up hour 1 of Talking Ball live from Bill Penny Toyota out here in the service department.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck in the medical district at Gallatin and Sibley. That one's got some injuries involved. Still working the one on 565. It's westbound west of Greenbrier. Still got the number 3 lane blocked up there. That one had injury and entrapment. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write the name down right now. Dr. Randall Burns at Huntsville Heart Specialist, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
What can you expect when you shop for a firearm at Bullet & Barrel? Expect great prices. We specialize in quality over quantity. Expect great service. Our professional sales staff is never pushy. We won't talk you into something that doesn't fit your needs. You have the right to make a smart, informed decision. Expect Bullet & Barrel, Alabama's only 5-star indoor shooting range, to support you after the sale. Bullet & Barrel, 3252 Lehman Ferry Road. Like or follow us on Facebook. Come see us soon.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Brooks & Collier has always been about making the most of your outdoors. Our lush greenhouse and new furniture ideas will inspire you, but we're also about value. Our brands are so handsome, they'll make themselves comfortable inside or out, and so well made, they'll weather the weather for many years to come. Our staff can consult you on the right choices, and Lucy for sure can show us the sofa that's the most comfortable. Make the most of your outdoors. Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
Championships are won right here.
Count it down with me, Huntsville. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Gulf South Conference basketball champions reside in Huntsville. The UAH Chargers, winners.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. November in Alabama means one thing. The Iron Bowl.
War Eagle, baby. War Eagle, baby.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
And welcome back to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And we will indeed be your home for the Iron Bowl this year, coming up in 2 weeks. Alabama, Auburn, 2:30 kickoff inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. Before we get to that, Alabama has a date with Arkansas on Saturday. Auburn has to travel to South Carolina on Saturday. And boy, oh boy, what a difference a week makes, because last week we were talking about how Bo Nix could play. What's Bo Nix going to have to do for his team to get a win over Mississippi State? And now we're talking about TJ Finley. What's he going to do? What's the offense going to look like? And Jake Crane making it known in that last segment, Drew, that not a fan of Derek Mason and the defensive style that Mason is running with the Auburn Tigers. And it did cost them in that loss to Mississippi State, because even other guests have said they did not put pressure.
Well, they've had trouble with pass rush most of the year. It's been hit or miss. As Jake said, they've been rushing three and playing an umbrella. And as he said, it's what he did at Stanford. He said it's not working at Auburn. He just basically said he's been bad all year. And that the Auburn defense hasn't been good enough. And he feels like that if this doesn't go well down the stretch at South Carolina and then at home in Jordan-Hare Stadium against the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Iron Bowl, that he thinks Derek Mason could be a one and done with Brian Harsin, and Harsin could go in a different direction with at defensive coordinator. And sometimes the styles don't work. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Certainly, I think this Auburn defense, I don't think they've been bad. I think they've been pretty decent at times, but they have had games. And this past, Saturday in Jordan-Hare against Mississippi State was kind of a meltdown. It really was. They were dominating early defensively and playing really, really well. Good complimentary football. It was 28-3, and then everything fell apart. So. In the Georgia game, I think they were just outmatched. They just, there was too big of a talent differential there, no question about it. And they did beat Ole Miss, so they did play pretty well against Ole Miss. They took them down, and I thought they played pretty well defensively in that game. But again, we'll see. I mean, Penn State was a tough game, physical game that they weren't able to pull out on the road. So, I mean, I'm anxious to see how they respond at South Carolina as well, because don't forget, we really haven't talked about it at all, Scott, but Shane Beamer and those guys are, playing for a bowl game. I mean, they can still, and which would be a great accomplishment in Shane Beamer's season 1. And think about this: they could get to said bowl, and before they play Clemson,
okay,
which they're going to have a puncher's chance in because Clemson has not been very good, and they would have wins over Florida and Auburn, which nobody would have thought, going back to Hoover in July, that the Gamecocks could win those 2 games.
True. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline. And you did bring up South Carolina. Shane Beamer reaffirming yesterday that obviously when Justin Fuentes.
Yeah, with the Virginia Tech connection. Yeah.
Yes, obviously people were quick to point out and quick to ask Shane Beamer
about that
his thoughts on returning back to where his father really put Virginia Tech on the map.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
No chance of him going.
Well, it's all about timing. I couldn't see that. I think Shane Beamer's going to stay at South Carolina. Now, if this had been a year ago when he was still an assistant coach, and if they had made the move, because you heard Jake Crane say he felt like they should have made a move already on Fuente,
right?
Maybe at the end of last year, then maybe that happens. But you also have to think about it in this connotation. Maybe Shane Beamer's trying to make his own name because it's tough going to Virginia Tech when you're going to be compared to your father all the time, even though he knows that program as well as any, Shane Beamer does. But again, you're going to be compared to your dad. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm just being a conspiracy theorist here. I remember my thought yesterday, Dan Mullen getting ahead of the firing line and putting himself in the mix at Virginia Tech.
Right.
And getting out of there and then turning around and, getting out of Gainesville before he can get the zig. And then going to Virginia Tech where the expectations aren't as high, where they would accept, 8-4, 9-3, and then roll out. And where even Frank Beamer didn't recruit at the highest level. He did a great job of developing players. It would almost be a better fit for Dan Mullen.
Let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management hotline. Jason's with us this morning. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning, fellas. And Drew, you are right about the Virginia Tech deal. When he was at Mississippi State, when they hired this Justin Fuente, he applied for the job. He just got beat out for it.
That's a good point, Jason.
Yeah, so he would be in line for it. I was going to ask you about the Alabama basketball team. The other big guy that redshirted last year, is he going to get on the court this year, or is he healed yet?
Alex Chiku has been cleared. They've quote unquote said that he still needs to get in shape. I think that's code for he gone. But anyway, I don't think he'll be long for the Alabama program. I don't think he'll be a factor this year. I think he'll end up in the transfer portal. I think that the guys you've seen in the rotation thus far, the Noah Gurley's starting, and then you've seen Darius Miles, who played well again last night and had double figures off the bench. Even the Keon Ambrose Hilton's ahead of him in the rotation. Bediako had another strong game. So unless something dramatically changes, I don't think we'll see Chiku be a factor. I think, he had a 2-game suspension as well, Jason, to start the season due to playing in an unsanctioned event when he was coming back from the Achilles on the West Coast. And that got him into the, into the craw of Nate Oates. So I don't think that Alex Chiku is going to be a factor. I think his maturity's been in question. So I think it was a tough win for him last night. They played against South Alabama and Richie Riley, and most of their roster is transfers. And so that was a tough game for Alabama. They turned it over too much. I think they had 14 turnovers in the first half. They settled down in the second half, played better offensively. They outshot South Alabama. They were able to control the glass. And I think, sometimes you have to play poorly and still win in some cases. And I think Alabama did that. They did not play well at all in the first half. They trailed at halftime, matter of fact, 34-31. So, but they came back, got a win. Keon Ellis has just been unreal to start the year. He's been so efficient offensively, shot the ball so well. Javon Quinterly got double figures last night, but he struggled with his shot a little bit. And we saw Shackelford score the ball. Yeah, they struggled a little bit early, but they found themselves. J.D. Davidson had a huge dunk last night. They had him on the floor late. But again, his offense is going to be a work in progress due to his outside shot, but he's still going to be a big factor. So I just think right now this team's still kind of trying to find itself and get the chemistry right. But again, Keon Ellis made a good point to Chris Stewart last night. They've played 3 games against 3 teams with 3 different styles. And probably of the 3 they've played thus far, South Alabama was the most physical last night.
Right. I mean, I seen it on the TV last night, and they had J.J. Chandler out there. He was at Texas A&M last year. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. He was. Did Alabama ever get a commitment from a kid named Deion Smith? I can't recall that.
Is this a basketball commitment?
Yeah, I mean, he was on the floor last night, and they counted him as a SEC transfer. He said he committed to Alabama, but I don't remember that name.
I don't either.
Yeah.
That's not a name that I'm familiar with. I know they've got a couple of Auburn transfers, including Turbo Jones.
All right, Jason, thanks for the phone call, buddy. We are up against our break.
Yep.
All right, when we come back, we're going to check in with Dabo Swinney. Wait till you had to hear what he said about his team not being ranked inside the top 25. We'll let that, and then we'll go over some SEC basketball scores from a Tuesday night as well. All that and more on Talking Ball coming up next.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right, even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on Motors Road in Decatur. I don't have a cross street on it yet. Sounds like it's a minor one. It'll move quickly. Gallatin and Sibley ended up with injuries involved. Westbound 565 west of Greenbrier had injury and entrapment. They've had the number 3 lane blocked up there. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. No mask, no hose. And insurance accepted for sleep apnea and snoring. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Overall, a really nice Wednesday across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. A fair mix of sunshine and cloud-covered winds out of the south, helping temperatures to climb into the lower 70s. Some of the usually warm spots could easily see the mid-70s, dropping into the lower 50s as we head into the overnight. Scattered showers are going to be a common thing through Thursday afternoon, even as we head into the early part of Thursday evening. Not everybody's going to get wet at the exact same time. For some of us, the day is going to be a complete wash. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
Tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, the New England Patriots on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. New England a 7-point road favorite, the over-under 47.5. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett still leads the way for NFL Defensive Player of the Year odds. As of this week, Garrett at plus 225, Trayvon Diggs at plus 350, and TJ Watt at plus 550. For comeback player of the year, Dak Prescott still a big favorite, minus 500, Joe Burrow plus 800. Former pound-for-pound best boxer in the world, Terrence Crawford, will step into the ring for the first time in over a year Saturday, facing Sean Porter for the WBO welterweight title. Crawford minus 900 odds to defend his title. Porter, the challenger, at plus 500.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And welcome back to Hour 2 of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 256-576-4977. You can get in on the conversations this morning. We want to hear from you. That's the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. It is open for you this morning. And, Drew, we went over the college football playoff rankings. We've gone over all these other rankings. And most notably, not inside the top 25 of any of those rankings are the Clemson Tigers. Not there. They've got 3 losses this year. They're not inside the top 25.
Nope.
Yesterday during his press conference, Dabo Swinney was asked about should they be inside the top 25.
Nope.
Here's Dabo's response.
Enjoy it. And I enjoy you guys, believe it or not. I like all y'all. Everybody's got a job to do. You know, occasionally I get a little frustrated with you when I don't think you're fair, but, you know, I think it's good.
Speaking of fair, you voted in the top 25 polls in the past. I know you really don't care, but would you vote Clemson as a top 25 team? 7 wins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. I didn't vote this year, though. That's the first time in my head coaching career I opted out. I opted out of that. 13 years of doing that, you know, because, you know, all the drama last year. That was just a distraction from my team that, you know, based on what I felt. So just something I could just eliminate because it don't matter anyway. Who cares?
Do you feel like that people are maybe, hey, Clemson's down. Why would this team not be getting votes even?
I mean, I think it just comes with who we are as a program. And, you know, nobody wants to give our opponents any credit. I mean, Georgia's pretty good. They're pretty good. I mean, I think we played them pretty good. Probably scored the fewest. They only scored 3 points on us. We scored the other 7. NC State, pretty good. Pretty good team at their place, double overtime. You know, Pitt, they're pretty good at their place. Had our chance to win it. You know, so I think it's more Clemson stinks as opposed to the opponents are good. And I think that's just something that just kind of comes with who we are as a program, but whether that's fair or not, I just think, you know, we've lost to some good teams that were better than us that day.
Dabo Swinney on Clemson not being ranked inside the top 25.
Your league is trash. That's what it is. Because I got a final score for you. Mississippi State 24, NC State 10. Okay, and Mississippi State has won 4 games in the SEC. They have a good team, but they are not a championship team, and neither is NC State. I've got another result for you. Western Michigan beat Pitt. Yes, Western Michigan beat Pitt. The Miami Hurricanes beat Pitt. And I don't think the Miami Hurricanes are a great football team. The ACC is trash. They're worried about the orange ball that's round that bounces. They're not worried about
the
football.
Orange Bowl where you play football
There you go.
right?
The college football playoff. So, I mean, now, while I will say that Clemson's had their losses have been very, excruciating.
Right.
They have not played good football. If you've watched Clemson play this year, I don't think they're a top 25 team. Okay? I just don't. I don't think they've played to that level. They've struggled at the quarterback position with DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, they've lost 3 games. They could have lost 5 or 6. I mean, they were lucky to escape on more than one occasion. Louisville, I know, nearly took them out as well. I mean, they've been very, very fortunate. Syracuse, where they pulled out games very late.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think they should beat South Carolina, but that's not a lock. So we'll see. But Dabo and those guys, they're going to go to a bowl game, but they're not a great football team. And injuries to Brian Brzee, people like that have hurt them. But also Jeff Scott, being in South Florida, coach of the Bulls,
the attrition on Dabo's staff is caught up to him.
When you lose coaches, that's why it's amazing what Nick Saban has done. Okay. Because when you finally start to lose coaches, it can affect your culture, affect the production, and I think it's affected Clemson. And Dabo is with his stances. You have to admire him for being steadfast, but not taking advantage of the transfer portal.
Let me ask you this. So the perception with Alabama football this year is the fact that they're not dominating everybody like we saw last year,
right.
The national perspective. I'm not saying here. Is that why we're looking at Alabama in a different light this year, because of all the coaches that they lost, of all the players that they lost, and everything else? And in the national perspective is that they want this Alabama team to kind of be like this Clemson team this year, be down, take that step back. And even though Bryce Young's numbers, everyone sits here, we're not talking about Bryce Young. His numbers are really good as far as a quarterback goes, but yet we're not talking about all of this stuff. We're finding these little things with Alabama. The national side is to kind of want to say that Alabama has taken a step back.
Well, I mean, it's inevitable. Alabama has taken a step back. They're not as good as they were last year, but that was a special team. It was one of the best teams in the history of college football and in the history of the SEC. There's been no other team that had to play a 10-game SEC gauntlet with no cupcakes on it. They had to battle COVID, which took out their head coach, which took out their right tackle at times. They were without pieces of the puzzle like everyone else, and they were able to navigate it. It hasn't been pretty at times, but you look at it like this. They were one drive away from beating Texas A&M and being undefeated, and nobody could say a word. They would be undefeated along with Georgia, and that'd be your 2 best teams.
It's because of that one loss that we want to question.
Because there's an Instagram account, Big Game Boomer. And
he's on Facebook and Twitter as well.
He's the guy with the lists, man, and you admire him for putting that much time to try to list things. But he continues to say it's a joke that Alabama's number 2. All I'd ask that clown is, who should be number 2 then? Who should be number 2 if it's not Alabama?
Now, I believe one of his lists a couple weeks ago was the fact that Neyland Stadium was the raucous environment for college football, and Bryant-Denny was one of the quietest for college football.
He needs to mute himself because he doesn't know a damn thing. Because, I'll be honest, I've read a lot of his takes, and, there have been people that have recommended him to me as a guest on this show. It ain't never happening. Because
is he in the Dan Wolken category?
No, he's not quite there. But, like I said, he wants to rank student sections and all this other garbage. I mean, just to put something out there. I guess he's good at creating conversation, but it doesn't mean that the conversations are worth a merit. I mean, I had a well-known media member tell me, yeah, I had him on my show, and I just feel dumber now. That's basically what I feel when I see Big Game Boomer's takes. I don't think that his takes are very good. And he's an Oklahoma guy, first of all. And Oklahoma sure as hell isn't among the elite teams this year. They shouldn't be. And they've barely scraped by in a league that's a joke. I mean, they had to come back and to beat a Texas team, got lucky to win that game, and Texas lost to Kansas. The Big 12 is just not very good. Oklahoma has some faint hopes of still being a factor, but I don't think they will be. I think the Big 12 is really weaker than the ACC in a lot of ways. I think the bottom of that league is terrible. Iowa State hasn't been what everybody was hoping they would be. They've been decent. They haven't been great. Texas is just terrible right now. Texas Tech's gone through a coaching change. They're not very good. The only one that's been kind of really solid has been Baylor, and Baylor just took out OU. It's going to be really interesting going forward to see how the rest of this regular season comes out. But I'm not high on the Big 12. I think that Cincinnati, if they came out undefeated, would have a much better case of being in a playoff than a Big 12 team. But again, I'm like Jake Crane, who was joined us in the hour one. I don't think that Cincinnati will make it to the end either. I think it's going to catch up to them, and then they'll be eliminated from the conversation.
I was just going through Big Game Boomers polls, and you mentioned those. And
we're going to be dumber here in a second.
He listed the top 20 and the worst 20 student sections in all of college football from week 11.
Mm-hmm.
And Baylor, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State were the best three student sections in all of college football. He has Wake Forest as the 7th best student section. The worst student sections in college football, week 11, Auburn at number 1, followed by Vanderbilt at number 5, Alabama at number 10.
Yeah.
So that just tells you what you're dealing with when we talk about Big Game Boomer. That is something when Drew's referring to the polls. That is,
he needs to be a game show host, is what he needs to be. Give him some of that Price is Right music.
Well, he did put his top 25 out. You want to know what his top 25 is in college football?
I can't wait to hear this.
His number 1 team is Georgia.
Of course.
Followed by Cincinnati at number 2.
Of course. Idiot.
Followed by Oregon at number 3. Ohio State at number 4. Alabama number 5. Michigan State 6. Michigan 7. Notre Dame 8. Oklahoma State 9. And Wake Forest 10.
Yeah, of course he'd have that Cincinnati number 2 because he wouldn't know a football if it hit him between the eyes.
Oh, that is some good stuff right there. 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline.
Appreciate that, Chad.
A
little Price is Right.
We want to hear from you on this Wednesday. Just some picking on a guy that'll never be on the show is what we're doing.
Remember where the guy used to yodel and they would be climbing the mountain, and then the guy would, if you didn't get the bid right, he'd fall off the cliff.
Oh yes, I
Big
forget what game that is. That is in The Price is Right.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man, what was that? I know exactly what you're talking about.
I
always used to try to play that game.
Yeah.
I always loved it. It was great. There's a lot of games on The Price is Right.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah, Jeff from the Borough with us on a Wednesday morning. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff? You a fan of The Price is Right?
I watch it back. I don't watch it, but I watch it back today.
Yeah.
Bob Barker was the best.
Days,
yeah, that game was cliffhanger.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Good job, Jeff.
Yes.
Cliffhanger. That's that. Because they had a lot of good games at one. I'm sure they still have it. That Plinko where them little tips.
Klinko's all time. But that is a Hall of Fame game. That just goes down to a Hall of Fame game.
So
there you go.
But Barker and Barker's music, you can't beat them. So can't beat them three. But now some interesting. I was going to ask you guys all these jobs open, but some interesting college basketball. I'll tell you what, the Gavitt tip-off game has been pretty good so far, ain't it? Old Illinois gets beat. Providence beats Wisconsin last night. Seton Hall comes back and beats Michigan last night.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I love about college basketball. I love about the early season of college basketball.
You never know how teams are going to play, man.
And Kentucky gets a win last night, Jeff, 80-55 over Mount St. Mary. one of the 3 SEC games on the hardwood last night. So basketball is upon us.
Yeah, but they're not really. These last 2 they ain't really playing anybody. But 34 is a beast, though. He's averaging about 19 rebounds a game. So I'm sure he's leading the country. If he's not, I don't know who's leading if he's not. So, but he's a beast on the boards. I can tell you that. But no, that's when you have them, Scott. Is the Gavitt tip-off games. You don't have in the middle of January. The Gavitt tip-off games. You have it for the non-conference there. See, that's why it's exciting. You get some good games there. But no, it's been pretty fun. I guess Seton Hall got it back from 32 years ago. They can
That's right.
They can say they won
89
32 years ago. The championship game there. But everything. But no, I was looking at the opening guys. Of course, there's 12 of them. 3 of them's been filled. There's all these rumors going around. I know you're not a big Duke football fan, but do you think that Cut's going to retire?
Well, I mean, I don't think they'll let him go. I think
I
they'll let.
don't think they will either.
I would hope not. I would hope he'd want to, because I mean, I know the program in the last 2 to 3 years has kind of backslid a little bit, but I'm hoping that he'll be given the opportunity, and I think he will if he so chooses to revive it again, and go on one last run and get him back to the postseason. But certainly, I think he'll be given the opportunity to do that. We'll see. He could retire. I mean, he is getting up there in age. He's had health concerns in the past, Coach Cut. But the Duke is a very difficult job. I think everyone knows that from a football perspective. So I will say this: I've already got the plan for him, though. If Cutcliffe retires this year or in the near future, just go back in a time machine and hire Steve Spurrier Jr. to be the head coach and follow in his father's footsteps.
Well, you guys talked about Florida the other day. Before Steve Spurrier got there, they weren't nothing.
Right.
But Barry Bryant said one time about Florida. He said Florida is a sleeping giant. He said if Florida ever gets the right coach, you better look out. He said if they ever get the right coach in there. They're going to say with Spurrier, they got before then that they weren't nothing. They've only had 30 years of tradition. So if they think there's some kind of a top flight school in college football, they ain't. I can tell you about they ain't. Now I'm telling you, they've only had 2 great coaches, Spurrier and Meyer.
Well, I think Duke understands their place in the college football landscape, though. I don't think Duke is
trying to be competitive.
Well, Duke. I agree with Duke. I agree with. Well, and also I read a column yesterday, guys. The 7 Florida schools. Of course, you know what happened to Florida International. I'm sure.
Oh
yes,
yeah,
we've talked about that.
That's awful.
Well, I'm sure y'all talked about that. But this guy wrote a column was talking about Florida being so bad, of course, irrelevant stuff. The 7 schools in Florida, the FBS school division, whatever we call it. He said their combined record was 28-42. Their combined record this year was the 7, the Central and South and Central Florida, the 2 Florida schools, Florida International, Florida Atlantic, Florida State, Miami, and Florida. That's what their combined record. But see, I think they should give Bowen one more year myself. And of course, but and what about Justin Fuente, guys? Shouldn't have left Memphis, should he? He was anti. He left Memphis, didn't he? Like guy said, be a legend somewhere. Don't be chasing money and natties. Don't be. He did wrong, didn't he? He should have stayed right there. Just like Mike Norvell, getting ready to find out if he goes one more year like he's doing right now, he'll be fired. He'll be another Memphis coach that left and got fired. I mean, you don't. When you got a good situation, you don't leave. You just stay right where you're at.
All right, Jeff, got to move on, brother.
I appreciate it, guys. See you.
All right, yeah. There's a lot to dissect there. A lot of good stuff, though, I want to dissect from that conversation. But let's go to Shane Sean next on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Shane Sean.
Hey, good morning. I got to commend Jeff this time, actually. He said one accurate thing right, and possibly 2, in my opinion. But his first accurate statement that he's ever made on the show was about The Price is Right.
Yes, there you go.
The second one that he actually made, I kind of agree with. Florida's just not that a dominant school in college football. They had 2 runs, basically, in my opinion, with Steve Spurrier and then with Urban. So,
yeah.
I mean, other than that, I mean, they've not been a dominant program throughout year in, year out.
And they should be, because you're in the hotbed of college football recruiting. You should be able to.
They probably got the most 5 stars per capita out of any state that there is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a definite hotbed. I mean, and it's really amazing how all 3 programs are kind of running in the mud right now. And Dan Mullen had a golden opportunity, and Mark McLeod talked about that yesterday. He just let it, slip through his fingers. And if he is ultimately dismissed or leaves for another job, that's going to be why. And why their next hire is so critical, because they've got to get someone in there who can recruit, especially within the state of Florida. And I'll be honest with you, that's why Mario Cristobal makes a lot of sense to me, because he is an outstanding recruiter, could get some outstanding talent there, hire a good staff.
Yeah, you're not losing kids to Florida State and Miami right now. You're losing kids to other schools that are coming in and taking them out of state is what's going on.
Right. So Mario Cristobal would be a force there. I don't know if he would leave Oregon at this time to do that, but he would be a definite force.
Hey, Drew, real quick, I need you to settle a heated debate between me and about 60 other Alabama fans. I belong to a group on Facebook. It's an Alabama group, and I just simply asked the question: if Alabama was to play Georgia tomorrow for the SEC championship, who would you win? Every one of them said Alabama, no question. I said Georgia. I would pick Georgia right now on this day to win. Could Alabama win? Sure, but there are no locks. So, what if you had to pick today? If Georgia and Alabama played tomorrow, who would you pick if you had to pick?
27-20 dogs.
I said a 10-point win by Georgia.
But if
Alabama shows up and plays good defense, we don't make stupid mistakes, get 130 yards in penalties, and drop 3 touchdowns in the end zone. There's a chance Alabama does have a great chance to win, but we've not done that consistently all year.
Yeah, they're going to have to play their best game. But I would favor Georgia by a touchdown right now. I think they're the better team. I just have to do that objectively. Do I think Alabama's capable of beating Georgia? Absolutely. I think they're probably Alabama and Ohio State, probably the only 2 offenses in the country that can beat Georgia. If I had to say so. Yeah, and I think that Alabama is still the boogeyman and to Georgia, and I think some Georgia fans are nervous about it. I think they would rather face Ole Miss or Texas A&M, but that's not likely to happen.
To hear them talk, they're not nervous at all this year. That Alabama has no shot at all of beating them, and I hate to tell them they do have a shot. It just depends on. And I think Alabama will show up with their best game of the year. I really do.
Yeah, I totally. All right, Shane Sean, we got to move on here real
Appreciate
fast.
It.
All right,
guys. I agree. I think Alabama will show up. But as good as the Georgia defense has been, we've talked a lot about that. They're number 1 in the country, yes, in the NCAA. I believe Alabama is inside the top 10 as far as defense goes in college football. So, yes, while Georgia's defense has set all kinds of numbers, Alabama's defense has not been too shabby, and you can say it may have come against better competition than what Georgia has seen so far this year. Those are some questions that we got to ask. Travis Reier can answer some of those questions about the Alabama side and where he thinks if the Alabama-Georgia played on Saturday, who would he think? Well, that's Travis. All that and more coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they've got a wrecker on the scene now on 565 westbound west of Greenbrier. Had the number 3 lane closed there because of an injury entrapment accident. And we got one downtown in the medical district, Gallatin and Sibley. That one had injuries involved as well. You get 3 pieces of the crispy tender chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University in Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
Switching season is here at WOW. Get Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month at wowway.com. Plus, learn how to get a year of HBO Max included and up to $300 on us. Wow. After the promotional period, HBO Max will auto-renew at then prevailing rate. Limited to new customers with auto-pay and paperless billing. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it time for open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For the typical family, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. Think what you could do with that. But if you join right now, MediShare is waiving their new member fee, so that's another $170 you'll save. And MediShare is really different. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. More than 400,000 people are members, and they've shared over $4 billion in medical bills. So yes, they can handle your bills too. This may be the time to make the switch. Join before November 30th for the additional savings. It's so easy to find out more. They're great to talk to. In fact, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Hey, this is Justin with the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We'd like to invite you to North Alabama's premier patio bar and grill, where at the factory, we have something going on each and every night. Monday night, steak night. Tuesday night, karaoke. Wednesday night, the Jeep community comes out for Jeep Jam. Thursday, it's bike night, the biggest in the valley. Friday and Saturday, live concerts on our 4,000-square-foot patio, along with drink specials and a beautiful staff. What are you waiting on? We will see you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at baddaddysburgerbar.com.
Kerry Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
Championships are won right here.
Crowd on its feet. Tigers set to trigger it in. Smart gets it into Watford. Threw it away. He'll run it down in the back court. Hugh will take it to the top of the arc. Watford 3 at the buzzer, blocked by Herb. The putback, no. The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to Talking Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Indeed, welcome back to Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, coming to you live from the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. We'll be here until 9, but they'll be here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. here at the Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. And normally we are here on a Monday. Normally we talk to our next guest on a Monday. So, Drew, I guess it's only fitting that we're here at Bill Penny Toyota and still being able to talk to our next guest on a Wednesday.
Yeah, Travis Reier, the longtime senior analyst since 2003 of BamaOnline.com, does a great job analyzing and covering the University of Alabama athletics, especially the football program, but also basketball, baseball. He's so well versed, women's basketball as well, in the University of Alabama. Also does the BamaOnline.com podcast and the Second Helping, which is a new SEC podcast he does with our good friend Brent Beard. But it's always great to catch up with Travis Reier, and he's with us now this morning here at Bill Penny Toyota on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Travis, welcome back. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are doing well, and just to crank it up really quickly, I mean, the result was as expected against New Mexico State, probably the weakest opponent Alabama's played this year. They took them out systematically. A lot of guys out of the lineup, especially along the offensive line, banged up and healing up. Now Alabama's this will really be the amen corner for them, these last two SEC games. But, of course, the Auburn game has changed dramatically, the landscape with the injuries. And then now Alabama knows they control their own destiny, Travis. If they beat Arkansas, they're already into the SEC championship game with that much-anticipated matchup with the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's pretty much championship season once again for Alabama. It's become a annual occurrence under Nick Saban, probably one of the achievements that goes overlooked at this point because it is a situation where when Thanksgiving rolls around, we're talking about Alabama in the mix for a national championship and an opportunity, as you said, to go ahead and punch that ticket to Atlanta against an Arkansas team that comes in at 7-3, and Sam Pittman just doing a heck of a job there, and his second season in Fayetteville, and a top 25 team in Arkansas. So you look at this Arkansas roster still at this point under Pittman, and your concern was looking at this matchup back in the preseason that it was going to take place in late November. But Arkansas looks like they're in pretty good shape physically, which again is your primary concern for a team like that. And a year ago, that was a real problem for Arkansas when Alabama visited Fayetteville.
Mm.
Well, let's look. I mean, you look ahead to this week, and then that Arkansas team. It's Arkansas and Alabama down the stretch. Arkansas comes in ranked 21st, and when you think of Arkansas, instantly you think of, okay, this may not be that bad, but what Sam Pittman has done in 2 years at Arkansas has made this game become a little bit of a work for Alabama on Saturday.
Yeah, it really just started with how he went about shaping that program. You look at teams and you always hear, well, they're kind of a mirror image of their head coach. And, that's Arkansas right now. With Sam Pittman, a former offensive line coach, you would think the run game is where it would start, and that's sort of been the case for them. And a top 3 rushing offense in the SEC right now, a team that takes care of the football, top 3 in turnover margin as well at +5. So it's a team that they make you beat them. Again, not on par with, say, the LSUs and the Alabamas and the Georgias in terms of roster strength, but everyone else in the league they've proven problematic for, including LSU just last week in that overtime win in Baton Rouge. So you can't say enough about the job that Sam Pittman's done to this point. An offense that a lot like Ole Miss, as you might expect, because you got brother-in-laws as coordinators on offense for both those teams with Gil Briles this week for Arkansas. And that's an area where I think Pittman got it right from the start, too. He made some what looked to be really good coordinator hires and Briles on offense, and then Barry Odom on the defensive side of the ball, and really sort of adamant about what he wanted the program to be about and look like on the field, and it sort of played out that way to this point.
Well, Travis, certainly Arkansas is very experienced, probably the oldest team Alabama's going to play this year. When you find out they've got 13 super seniors, and because of COVID they've got 99 on scholarship, we won't see that again. but certainly a team that while they haven't been maybe pretty, as Sam Pittman said last week, it wasn't an aesthetically pleasing game, but they found a way to win in Red Stick. We saw LSU give Alabama all they wanted in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Kind of as you've broken it down this week on BamaOnline.com, how do you see this matchup?
Yeah, you're right. You look at it, and I think for Alabama, you continue to wonder about that running back position on the heels of the injury to Roydell Williams, and, with the emphasis obviously on depth, because Brian Robinson is clearly the top option and has been throughout the season. But should be an interesting matchup when you look at the linebackers that Arkansas runs out there, specifically the inside guys. You mentioned it, with so much experience. Grant Morgan, one of those super seniors. Hayden Henry, a really good player. Bumper Poole, not only a great name, but a great player as well. And, those three guys have played a ton of football. And three of the top 10 tacklers in the SEC. Bumper Poole's not even a starter, and he leads Arkansas with 100 tackles. So that matchup there with Brian Robinson, and then how it plays out behind him in the game with Trey Sanders, and even if Alabama has to go deeper than that, how that sort of lays out during the course of the game will be interesting. I think even more so with an emphasis on pass protection, because Arkansas isn't a heavy blitz team, but you got to think with what Alabama's put on tape so far this season, Barry Odom's going to dial up a couple involving his inside linebackers for sure, perhaps very early in the game. And then, kind of on the other side of the ball, a similar matchup with Henry To'oTo'o and Christian Harris going against KJ Jefferson at the quarterback position, and then a trio of running backs for Arkansas that are capable of getting the job done. And lately for Arkansas, it's been the big back, Dominique Johnson, 6'1", 240. So you combine Johnson at 240 with KJ Jefferson at 245, and those inside linebackers that aren't known to be thumpers in To'oTo'o and Harris, they're going to have a challenge in front of them. Now, Traylon Smith still a big part of that Arkansas offense at the running back position. He gives them some of the lightning to go along with the thunder that Jefferson and Johnson bring from the run game perspective as well. So, these are a couple of the offenses in the SEC that really emphasize the run game still in this era of passing the football. So, I think between the tackles is really where you're going to want to look first and foremost on Saturday afternoon.
We talked earlier in the show just the fact that because, we sit here and we question the offensive line, up and down weeks, and we question, the running back production. It kind of has taken away from just how good of production Bryce Young has done this year in his first year as starting quarterback for Alabama.
And no doubt about it. And some big stages coming up for Bryce, for him to cement his status as a top Heisman Trophy candidate. You got CBS opportunities each of the next two Saturdays, and then assuming Alabama takes care of business in at least one of those, then a matchup with Georgia and on the biggest stage so far in college football this season. So you look at the numbers, 33 touchdown passes, just 3 interceptions. He's lost a couple of fumbles each of the last two games, with protection at times being a shaky sort of situation. But he's been everything Alabama could have hoped for, and obviously the addition of Jamison Williams has been huge. I don't think anyone would second that more than Bryce himself. And, you look at Jamison with over 1,000 receiving yards now on 51 catches and 10 touchdown catches. The ratio of yards per catch and also touchdowns per catch has been really on par with what you saw previously from guys like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs III, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. So he has bridged that explosive play gap quite nicely and much needed from that perspective as well.
Yes, he has. And Travis, this Alabama defense seems to be making strides. I don't think that's been talked about enough because of the way they had to kind of stand on their head to beat LSU, to keep the Tigers out of the end zone. Of course, they shut down New Mexico State, but the run defense is really, for the most part, except for parts of the Florida and Texas A&M games been really good. It's going to need to be good Saturday. You already talked about between the tackles against the Hogs, but we'll talk about this defense and kind of how it's rounding into form because, I've criticized Pete Golding as much as anyone, but they are a top 10 national unit. We've seen what Will Anderson's done, 12.5 sacks, Fedarian Mathis, and now I think part of it, though, is the development of Dallas Turner, who is taking advantage of an opportunity due to an injury to Drew Sanders.
Yeah, the front seven has picked it up and really been pretty good throughout the season where the run game is concerned, and that's going to be central to their chances of running the table here between now and perhaps Atlanta. And they're giving up just 83.5 yards per game on the ground. And again, draw similarities between the Arkansas offense and what Ole Miss likes to do, including on the ground. And, I think that's something to note going into this week because, Ole Miss and Arkansas, the top couple of 3 rushing offenses in the league. Alabama did a nice job in that Ole Miss game, limiting the Rebels to 80 rushing yards. So I think that's kind of the target for Alabama defensively this week. If they can hold an Arkansas offense that averages 233 per game on the ground to somewhere around 100 yards or less, then obviously they're going to have a great chance to win because then you put the game more on K.J. Jefferson's arm, and he's been very efficient throwing the football this year, 17 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. And he obviously has a legit dude in Treylon Burks to work with on the outside. But, again, if Alabama is able to sustain that sort of level of play in the area of the rush defense, and I thought they were still good against LSU. Ty Davis-Price had the one run there in the fourth quarter that really supported his numbers and got him over 100 yards in the game. They're going to have a really good chance to win Saturday. And again, I think there's going to be carryover from Arkansas to Auburn, especially with Bo Nix out, to also perhaps Georgia and obviously the identity of that offense first and foremost. So, we talk so much about slowing down these passing offenses throughout the course of the season, but as we get to the stretch run here, it's going to be sort of more along the lines, first and foremost at least, retro sort of defense for Alabama.
And then, Travis, I'm going to swing back to offense. In your mind, and this is one of the things we're going to have to see, is Trey Sanders ready to be the number 2 guy for Alabama? We certainly have seen flashes of running ability. He had 12 carries last week. B-Rob missed a game against Southern Miss earlier in the year due to some ribs. We know how perilous the depth situation is. There was even a report last night, unconfirmed, about Jalen Milroe seeing some time at running back. I don't know about that. I would maybe like to see him involved somehow to manufacture some rushing yards potentially and use his explosive ability in a package. But Trey Sanders, do you think he's ready?
Ready or not, he needs to be. I don't think it's a question of talent. It's obviously been more of an injury issue for Trey each of the last 2 seasons, and then perhaps some confidence issues from earlier in the campaign. And, that's understandable considering everything he's been through physically, the type of injuries he sustained in that car accident a year ago. Obviously was going to take some time and still might be taking some time for him to recover from. So I think more of the question is he at a point, even physically, where he can handle not only all the duties that come with playing the position at Alabama, but doing it for, at least a decent amount of snaps. And, it's understood that Brian Robinson is going to be even more the guy than what he's been. It's been heavily slanted his way, especially since Chase McClellan went out last month as it is. But, if Trey can just complement him to a minimal extent, that would be a great thing. And you're right. When we've seen Trey Sanders get carries or touches, it's largely been positive. He did have the fumble earlier in the season against Mercer, but he's been a solid guy, averaging over 5 yards per carry, well over 5 yards per carry on limited opportunity so far in his career. kind of the other things that come with the position, pass protection, that I would be more concerned about than anything else. And, that's where I think, as much or more than what we've already seen from Brian Robinson, that's why he's going to be needed on the field, a good bit moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Travis, my last thought from you, this is just a hit on basketball really quickly. We saw a tough win for the Tide last night, 73-68. You heard that here on ESPN 97.7 The Zone, as the Crimson Tide beats the South Alabama Jaguars to go to 3-0 on the season. Your thoughts on what we've seen thus far from Nate Oates in his third year?
It's been good stuff. Last night was a bit of a slog, but it's a solid USA team that Alabama beat last night, a team that pushed Wichita State to the limit on the road last Saturday. And so you knew it was a team that came into Tuscaloosa with some SEC flavor from the transfer portal, and it played out that way. And, I think obviously this team can play better than it did last night, specifically in terms of taking care of the basketball, something it had done well in its previous two games, not so much last night with the 22 turnovers. Really got upside down in assist-to-turnover ratio last night after being impressive in that area in both the wins last week. But, it's the kind of game you got to be able to push through, and they were able to do it. When they don't shoot it well from three, it's probably going to be more along the lines of what it was last night, and they went 7 of 27 from behind the line. And, free throws weren't especially strong for Alabama, and, again, still able to get the job done. And, you can kind of count on Keon Ellis to be efficient. That was the case once again last night with 18 points on just 10 shots. Jaden Shackelford continues to do some good things offensively as well. And, a team that showed you some toughness last night. When everything wasn't going right, they still got the job done against, again, what I think will be a solid South Alabama team. And you got an Oakland team coming up on Friday night that went on the road and beat Oklahoma State last Saturday. So you think about these mid-November games and you see some of the names and some of the teams on the schedule, and you go ahead and write in the W's. But, as we saw just even last night with Seton Hall going on the road, beating number 4 Michigan, BYU went on the road and absolutely thumped a ranked Oregon team. You can't really take much for granted this time of year.
No, you can't. Well, Travis, great stuff. Let everybody know how to connect with BamaOnline.com. We really appreciate your time.
Just go to BamaOnline.com or Alabama.247sports.com. Either way will get you done.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get to our final break. Wrap up Talking Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They've got a fire truck blocking up the number 1 lane on the westbound side of 565. This is just east of County Line. The wrecks over on the eastbound side got the number 1 lane blocked up there. It's going to be a few minutes before these lanes are clear. Gallatin and Sibley may still be trying to clear downtown. It looks like westbound 565 west of Greenbrier has been cleared. Snelling has immediate need for experienced materials handlers for a premier government contractor. These are first shift at $14.50 an hour plus overtime. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Championships are won right here.
0-2. Come on now. Chopper out to Dansby. Dansby throws to first base. Is this happening? It is! The Atlanta Braves are world champions. The Atlanta Braves have won the 2021 World Series in 6 games over the Houston Astros. Pure euphoria down on the field and in the booth.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Have you ever found exactly the right new car or truck with the exact features that you want and nothing else? Well, at Woody Anderson Ford, we can promise you just that. Hey, Bobby White back again, and you can now factory order your new Ford today, and you'll get your new car or truck exactly the way you want it. And there's no extra cost to custom order. Plus, you get $1,000 off MSRP on top of any additional factory rebates. This applies to 2021 F-150, Explorer, Ranger, and Expedition. It's a win-win with a custom order at Woody Anderson Ford. You get the colors, the features, and the options that fit your life. Plus, you get notified when it's built, shipped, and ready to deliver. Listen, buying a new car or truck is likely the second largest investment you'll ever make. So why settle? Get exactly what you want with a custom factory order today and get $1,000 off MSRP. See how at WoodyAndersonFord.com or at the corner of Jordan Lane and Sparkman Drive. Hope to see you soon.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is, I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
November in Alabama means one thing. The Iron Bowl.
War Eagle, baby. War Eagle, baby.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And welcome back to Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Short time left for you this morning and a couple things to get through on this day in history. 1984. A big day for those that love shoes and loved Michael Jordan. The Michael Jordan debuts his new shoes, the Air Jordans, amidst little fanfare.
Yeah.
On this day in 1984.
Because nobody really had their own shoe. And he actually changed the landscape, and he's been the biggest brand ever. I mean, as far as, because once he became the icon that he did, and to me, still the greatest player to ever to lace up the shoes. And then I will give Spike Lee some credit, too. The commercials were outstanding. Yes. Mars Blackman. That's how a lot of times you'd find out what the new Jordans looked like and when they were coming out and they were about to be in the stores. But, yeah, I mean, what Nike did with him and, how it changed the athletic apparel and shoe business can never be duplicated. I mean, LeBron James, the Nike signed him and everything, but he's had not near the impact that the Jordans do. And then Jordan was one of the first shoes that was retroed, and that you still find them selling like they do today. It's amazing. That's a outstanding tidbit there, Scott.
All right, and Freddie Freeman, the Atlanta Braves, continuing to try and come to a contract. Apparently, they are hung up on the length of a deal.
Yeah.
Bob Nightingale has already said that they have rejected the Braves' best offer, which was $135 million over 5 years. It's a 6th-year option or whatever that appears to be the sticking point.
Get it done. Don't
right
care.
Now between the Braves and Freddie Freeman. The New York Yankees did host Freddie Freeman, the free agent, a couple days ago, as they are obviously courting the first baseman. So that is your Freddie Freeman update if you are an Atlanta Braves fan.
Yeah, get that 6th option done, Alex.
Got to do something.
You won a World Series. You did a great job. It was an unbelievable run, but then you have to build on it and sign the best first baseman in the history of the Braves.
All right, that's our 2 hours here of Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota's Service Department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll be back in studio tomorrow morning with our Thursday edition of Talking Ball. We're going to get you ready for more college basketball and college football as well.
Might hear from one of the great basketball players in the history of this.
Oh, we will.
North Alabama.
Yeah, Richard Hendricks will be with us tomorrow. He was on the Alabama game last night.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners, a heartfelt thank you for buying local.